Hi. So another episode is all ready to go, and this time it's daytime. So, all right. Um, so in this episode, we're not doing anything special. We're just going through some movies that I kind of snagged off my roommate's shelf in the living room, and I just thought I would, talk about them. So first is The Truman Show. And if you haven't seen this, it's a very popular movie starring Jim Carrey and geez, what's that guy's name? Ed Harris. And it's about a guy who has been, basically filmed his entire life, and he starts as an adult to pick up on little clues and put things together after he sees the actor who played his dad and um, his friend, his best friend, and his wife are of course, actors, and he goes through an entire upsetting life change. Unfortunately, um, this is really where Jim Carrey started being considered more of a dramatic actor, and I don't consider him a dramatic actor. He started out as a comedian. He has always really been a comedian. Comedians just happen to make extremely versatile actors because they know pain. They laugh at pain, and that's why they're able to be uh, so serious, like Robin Williams and whatnot. So, if we put aside that, it's an interesting story, but not one that I would actually own because um, it's just not very, insightful. It isn't really that enjoyable, unfortunately. Um, and it had a huge budget. It, made a lot of money at the time when it came out. Um, and the special edition comes with, you know, all kinds of extras, deleted scenes, different audio tracks, and it's a wide screen format. So if you really like this movie, then it sounds like the special edition is for you. Uh, I don't think it's a very good movie, personally, and I think it's one that a lot of people have forgotten. So I was actually surprised to find this on my roommate's shelf. Um, Next is Adam Sandler's Big Daddy, um, which is kind of a three men and a baby story, only the baby is left for the roommate who's out of town, and the guy pretends to be his roommate, and the guy's a bit of a loser. He gets his money from collecting, you know, uh, toll fees as his job, and it has a certain amount of cuteness, so it's kind of fun, and but it's a bit more of a dramatic role. Um, I liked his love interest in the movie. I thought that was really cool. Who I guess is his roommate's fiance's sister, which is kind of convoluted, but is like okay, I could see how they could at least hook up. Um, the film itself is like nothing super in terms of jokes or whatnot, but it's sweet and it's kind of endearing. So if you want to get it, uh, you can, but I don't actually recommend it as a film to buy. Maybe watch it a couple times. But frankly, they show this movie like so much on USA and whatnot that you can just watch it that way. Although they edited it a lot. Next is a war movie, Saving Private Ryan. This is actually my roommate's favorite film, which is kind of easy to understand why. It's well made. Um, you go on this adventure with these characters in this platoon, and you learn about what life is like, uh, kind of as the invasion goes on. And there are a lot of great cameos. Um, One great story from behind the scenes in the making of the film is that Tom Hanks and the other actors, Vin Diesel and all them, actually went through. military training so that they would be ready and familiar with every piece of equipment, like they had been training and fighting for a long time as a unit. And the guys were having a really hard time with it because, they're actors. They're not doing so well with this. And so, uh, because he was to play an officer, he was put in an authoritative role, and he talked with the guys. He sat them all down, and he said, "Listen, if you guys want to back out of this, you know, I'll join you. I'll understand." And I've talked with Steven Spielberg, and he'll understand. It's okay. We don't have to do this if it's too hard. And but so he tried to encourage the guys and say, let's hold it out. If we stick together, we can get through it. And that's really kind of an amazing thing to hear about, considering Tom Hanks has kind of fallen by the wayside with stuff like the Da Vinci Code and occasionally doing the voice of Woody for Toy Story films and TV spots. So you know, there's no real telling anymore. But this one was really one of his big breakthrough roles where he was able to do like you know the everyman kind of thing that you only really saw from Henry Fonda or Jimmy Stewart or a few other actors over the years who are able to be that everyman kind of guy. Uh, which is funny because, as I mentioned before, comedians tend to become the most versatile actors. And Tom Hanks originally started out on Bosom Buddies, and then he went on to do comedic roles like Turner and Hooch, Dragnet, Big, all these shows and films uh, in which he was kind of a comedy guy. In Big, of course, he was a bit more of a dramatic character. But, that is where he has his roots, first and foremost. So it's kind of interesting. He's made this huge transition, and now he's kind of a staple, a mainstay of Hollywood. And I think that really all of the actors shine forth. Matt Damon's really good in this. Ted Danson of Cheers, uh, and a dozen other roles, is also in this, and he plays like a smaller part, but he's still really good. He's like right at the end, I think, uh, and he's just great. So I really enjoyed seeing him come forth and kind of play sort of a similar character to Tom Hanks's character, a bit of a, I think they're both lieutenants. No, they're captains. Um, the fact that they're just both entrenched, they're both commanders, and they both kind of give off the same aura. They're both kind of older too than a lot of the other guys. And Vin Diesel doesn't really stand out as Vin Diesel normally does in a lot of his film roles from uh, the late 90s, early 2000s, but he's still really good in it. And if you haven't seen the film, hopefully this is incentive for you to see it. So one last film before I go, and that's Office Space. Now this you can't even begin to discuss in just a minute, but basically Peter Gibbons hates his job and his girlfriend's cheating on him, and he goes to a hypnotist who tells him, just let your troubles melt away. And afterwards, his whole life changes. His life gets a little bit better, and he ends up, you know, getting better things happening to him. Um, but there are all kinds of little subplots and twists and turns along the way. But everything turns out okay in the end, and he ends up, just not doing the job he was doing. So maybe I'll talk about this more in depth in a future video. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching and hit the subscribe button. Bye bye.